I'm joined by the Doc Emrick. Doc, thank you so much for taking some time out of, I'm sure, your incredibly busy schedule as we get ready to ramp up here. I want to start off with the fact that, did you ever think you would be calling Stanley Cup playoff games in August, not in wherever the games are being played?
No, I don't think any of us did. The notion of calling a game off a screen is novel to any announcer because you always anticipate being there where the crowd is. And of course, that doesn't happen. You anticipate being able to watch a game with the naked eye, and that's not happening, except with a few exceptions right now. And so those of us who have grown up being spoiled, I think it's a little over 3,600 games, only about 4 or 5 have I ever done off a monitor. And except in one case, all of those have been inside a facility where there were fans. So this is really novel. And it'll take some getting used to. And it'll probably take some getting used to on the part of people that are watching at home. But I think the NHL has done a wonderful job of getting the arenas prepared so that it is not nearly as stark as perhaps some other arenas are that have just rows and rows of empty seats. The lower bowl seats in Toronto and Edmonton are covered with tarps that look very, very neat. And there is a sort of an ambient crowd noise that doesn't strike me as phony. And so I think it's going to be okay, but it may take a little getting used to. But once the teams start playing, our attention, and I think the fans' attention, will shift away from some of those other things.
You mentioned the crowd noise. I wanted to get your thoughts on them because it doesn't sound odd to me. It feels like it does seem very, very normal, like kind of like a normal game.
Yeah, and they've imported the goal horns from all of the arenas because they are unique to each arena. And they have imported some of the goal songs that are played in each of the arena and some of the crowd roars from each arena. So that will be familiar to people that are watching at home. So if the Penguins score, they'll hear that horn, and that will make them feel a little more at home. But they've gone, and we understand that in the exhibitions, we were told by Steve Mayer, who is kind of the guru of doing all of these things. He thinks of all of the fireworks at the Winter Classics and the piglet races in Dallas that we saw on January 1st this year. Those are all of his brainchilds. He said, you haven't seen anything yet. When we start in on Saturday, it'll be a lot different than it's been in the exhibition. So we'll just wait and watch.
There's more to come. That's exciting to know. I want to get your thoughts too on the format of this whole thing because it is so different than so many people are used to. Obviously, the expansion to 24 teams in order to kind of make it as fair as possible. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Kind of in the middle?
Oh, I think the more the merrier at this point. They couldn't go that far and encompass all 31. And you always draw the line on fairness. And, the people in Buffalo got left out again. Had we drawn the line on the 12th instead of the 11th of March, Buffalo would have played Montreal that night. And had Buffalo won in regulation, Montreal would have finished 25th and Buffalo 24th. And so Buffalo would be in and Montreal would be out. And the Penguins would be playing the Sabres. But the Sabres just can't catch a break. And so it's never fair for somebody. And so I like the idea of having the best of 5. We haven't had that in the NHL since 1986. And you better win the first game because it's so hard to come back. I think only one team in history has come back from 2-0 down in a best of 5 series. So it puts the real pressure on winning the first game. And especially you don't want to lose the first 2.
It's funny you mentioned Buffalo. I was in Buffalo before I came here to Pittsburgh, so I know the Sabres all too well. And trust me, the Sabres diehards were not too thrilled about that. But again, it was going to be one way or the other, and kind of no matter what in that sense. There was going to be one team probably that would have been on the cusp anyways. But hey, we're in Pittsburgh. We're talking about the Penguins. What do you like about this Penguins team going into this tournament here?
Well, I like the fact that they're experienced and some of their talented players are fully healthy. The ones that might have been playing despite some injury on March the 11th have had 4.5 months to heal. And Jake Gensel made that brilliant pass to Connor Sherry for the first goal against Philadelphia. Jake is back and looked just like the Jake of old, and that is good because that gives the Penguins 2 highly threatening lines now. The year that Malkin and Rust had up until the pause was just wonderful, and Crosby in his last games leading up to the pause was averaging over a point per game. And so that's normal for him. And the fact that Jake is back is a big thing for Penguins fans. And even though Matt Murray's save percentage was below a 900, his home stretch performance was much better. So when Jim Rutherford, the general manager, says, I fully expect that Matt Murray is going to be our starting goaltender, I like Matt's chances to start this weekend. Because if the GM says so, chances are that's the way it's going to be. And he carries the credentials. He's got 2 Stanley Cups. So we'll just play this out. But there are a lot of teams that have some big decisions in goal going into the weekend.
Absolutely. And I'm wondering, who do you think is going to be their biggest X factor? That guy that's really going to, maybe is flying under the radar, could go with a Sid type of guy, who's going to be that guy for them throughout this stretch here?
I don't know a specific person. I would think that the defense is going to be key for them, not only defensively against some of Montreal's speed, because Montreal does have speed and they're a younger team, but also the power play. The effectiveness of the power play for the Penguins is important, having Schultz back there to blast away and having the quarterbacking ability of Chris Letang. I think that'll make a big difference too. But I like the Penguins' experience a lot, and they're cool under pressure, and I think that will mean a lot. For Montreal, it's playing with found money. They were 10 points away from the last playoff berth when the pause hit, and they were allowed in. And so, hey, boys, we're here. We can't lose anything more than we would have lost anyway. And we're up against the Penguins. And so let's just see what happens. So found money for them.
Absolutely. I know we're pretty pumped about that. Is pretty much the entire city of Pittsburgh and hockey fans kind of everywhere. For those viewers, for those fans, what can they expect from the broadcasts that might be different than normal? I don't know what you can and can't tell us in that sense.
No, I'm not sure exactly what the league has in mind in terms of the atmosphere inside the arena. But we are going to have a unique broadcast of the game that we are going to be doing on Saturday because it's Chicago and Edmonton. It'll be at 3 o'clock Eastern time. I am going to be working from Michigan. Eddie Olczyk, who does the Chicago games on a regular basis, is going to be working from Stamford, Connecticut. A lot of our announcers are going to be based in Stamford, where NBC Sports is located. We only have 4 of our announcers located in arenas. So almost everybody is going to be doing what our viewers are doing, and that's watching on television. It is a challenge, but as Patrick Waugh once said when he allowed 7 goals in one game for the Colorado Avalanche, I'm paid to get those. So we are paid to broadcast these games and to do the best job we possibly can. So that's what we're going to do. But anyway, on Sunday, Eddie will be in Stamford, Connecticut. I will be out here in Michigan. And Pierre Maguire will be inside the glass in Edmonton to call the game. So you will see, I believe John Forsland is doing the game, very capable announcer for the Carolina Hurricanes, will be doing the game that the Penguins will be playing against Montreal. And I believe your crew is entirely inside the arena for that game this weekend, the first game.
It's got to be a fun challenge, though.
Yeah, it is. But you learn a lot from this too. And you realize too that the idea is to have a good time and to enjoy the skill of the athletes and try not to get in the way. The last thing you want people to do is to be thinking about your work and to be thinking more about, wasn't that a great play? So you don't want to draw attention to yourself. You want to draw attention to the athletes because they have done an enormous thing. They've left their families for an unbelievable amount of time. They don't know how long. It could be as much as 10 weeks. And they have undergone testing every day and all of these things. And let's face it, if you have to be cold about this, you realize that the Stanley Cup is not about cash, because they've been paid for the season. And the prize money for winning the Stanley Cup, we don't talk about because it's very small. They play to get their name on the trophy and to get a ring that's too big to wear. And the fact that for the rest of their lives, there'll be an adjective in front of their name that says Stanley Cup champion. And that's why it's so engrossing to watch. So good for them, and good for us that all of us get to watch it on television or listen to it on the radio, or get to take part. So it's great.
It has been what feels like just so long without hockey, and I know everyone is just itching for Saturday for puck drop at noon. I know we're all thrilled, and I got to ask you finally to wrap up here. You got the Buccos jersey behind you. Absolutely love that. I know a lot of Pittsburgh fans will too. What do you think about the team, especially with kind of their new management right now and kind of the direction that they seem like they look like they want to be trending in?
Well, ever since August 9th, 1959, when I first saw them play at Wrigley Field in Chicago, I was a fan before that. I've been a fan ever since. And it's almost, Jenna, it's almost like your religion, which whether you go through tough times or not, you don't change it and you stay with it. And it's heartening to see changes made, and you realize that that's the case. You also realize the fact of life that in baseball you can buy a winner, and that's not what we're going to have. But you still support your team, you still wear the stuff, and you still hope. And last night, even though I had a game between the Islanders and Rangers, I couldn't watch the Bucks play. I haven't seen them play yet because we've been so engrossed. But I realized that if they won that game, they would have been 500, which is something when you consider that they were starting to play against the Cardinals and the Brewers, and now it's the Cubs. So they're up against the three pieces of iron in the division right away. So the schedule maker did them no favors. So 500 would have been wonderful, but sadly it's 2-4. So that's what I know so far, but they're still my team.
Oh, and I'm sure as we love to hear that, all Pittsburgh fans love to hear that. Well, Doc, thank you so much for taking some time. Best of luck as things get going this weekend and kind of this whole stretch here. And, you know, we can't wait for the excitement, I'm sure, as it is for you too.
It'll be a great time, and it'll be wonderful hockey. Guarantee you that. You can watch any of the 5 games on Saturday on NBC or NBCSN, and you'll be impressed with how hard these guys play.